Thanks for coming to our fourth installment of the Covellite Cinema Club and our screening of Coming to America. And it's our first comedy. So it's nice to have a little bit lighter kind of fare and everything every now and again. We're going to just kind of start off with initial thoughts. Nick, you said this was, a movie that you saw a lot growing up, and
yes.
What's it like seeing it now, like as far as the themes and everything that are going on in it?
When I first saw the film, I wasn't too sure what I was watching at the point, but now if no one knows my background, I have a Master's of Fine Arts in Film. So it's a little bit different to take it. It's different perspective to look at it other than just a comedy of all the undertones that are happening here in the film, and to examine it in a sense of what the filmmaker John Landis was trying to do in 1988. If you're not familiar with Landis is he's very famous for films like Animal House. He did Coming to America, and he also did Trading Places with also Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, which two characters in the film were here. But on the other side of this, I think that Coming to America is, I'm trying to think of a way to put this, and I guess initial thoughts of looking at it, is that guys are kind of on the spot now. I kind of...
No pressure. Everybody's just watching and you're being recorded.
Right. I guess that there's a stereotype that's happening in the film. And if it's easy to see it if you're looking for it. And the setting of the film takes place in Queens, in New York. And the way they look at that, it either looks like it's really run down and the town is run full of thieves, in a sense, and you see that early in the film. So looking at it, at having analyzed it and been a fan of this film for years, I think that Landis he's trying to be funny, but he's also, I feel that he's not being genuine to who the characters are and where they come from. In the sense of Eddie Murphy and the characters coming from Africa, I think there's a predisposition of what people in America sometimes feel where international students are coming from. So, that's initial thoughts coming from me, but I'm really interested to hear what you three have to think about seeing this, because this was the first time, correct? First time seeing this?
No, I've seen it before.
Third time you have seen it before?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if I...
So it's, his first time, but yeah.
Okay, hey guys. My name is Kokelo. The funny thing, firstly, when we were told we were going to watch this movie, I was just laughing at that when we landed at JFK, we wanted to go out and buy something. Coincidentally, we went to Queens. And Eddie Murphy they chose the Queen, so we went there. We know that place. Not very well, but we went there. So the first time I saw this movie, I was so very happy at the outcome of what happened at the end. Right, where we come from, mostly back then, we are forced to marry someone that your parents love. So what is happening in this movie is the truth, most particularly in Africa. So right now, there is freedom. We can choose who we love, and we can choose whatever thing we like to do. But back then, those are the things that were happening in Africa. It was a good thing then, but now, you cannot be with someone you do not love. You cannot be with someone who doesn't even match everything you wish for in life. That is what I was happy about when I first saw this movie, So now it relates to us as we are here in America, as this movie is about coming to America. But as though we're not here to seek for some girlfriends, but we are here for some other reason. So it's a nice movie.
Hi everyone. It's my first time watching this movie, so what I've realized, what I've noticed is that with regards to royalty, you know, many of the things that you see in that movie, 80% to or 70% is true when it comes to royalty, because, you know, if you are a prince or you are a princess, you know, you end up not living the life that you want to live, because, you know, even back at home, the way they treat the prince and the princesses, the people from the royal family, it's something that you even think that, no, is this real or what, you know? Because when I go to attend events like me, you know, they will just, even if you just want to sit anywhere with anyone, you know, but they will take you and bring you to the top with those dignitaries, you know. So sometimes you don't feel comfortable with who you are, with what you want to do, you know. But what I like the most is that the tradition, you know, they respect royalty, and with Edimaf, with the guy, with the prince, as Kokelo was mentioning, that, you know, back in the days, what it used to be, like in Africa, your parents will choose your girlfriend for you. That's why you find people from the royal family, they have many wives, more than 2 sometimes, you know, because maybe the first wife will be chosen by your father, or maybe the second wife by your grandfather, and maybe the third wife, it will be your choice, you know. So hence there is a lot of polygamy in Africa. And if you are from the royal family, when you have more than 2 wives, it's not a surprise, because they know that, you know, you have to have many wives as you can, you know, because you can have your own choice, but your parents can also choose your wives for you, you know. But it's a very great movie. I like it.
Hello, everybody. The day we came here, on the night before, I was with Nkokelo, and we were staying up late at night, and we wanted to watch a movie. And then we were screening through our movies, and then Coming to America showed up. And we're like, hey, let's watch this. Because we were still very excited, we were very nervous. We watched the movie, we were laughing about it. But then, when we look at it now, we can still see some similarities, like, because it's a comedy, they over-exaggerate some things. But then we can see where he's making the jokes. Like, when we tell people we're from South Africa, the first thing they assume is that, oh, maybe you've got elephants that go through your yard or something like that. Or have you seen a lion? Have you killed a lion? Things like that. And then as well as, like, the way they dress, the way the royalties dress. And when they arrive in America, they go to that barber shop, and the barbers are speaking that funny English. When we arrived there, we went to Queens and we couldn't find a taxi back to the airport. So we asked someone, how can we get a taxi? He was speaking English, but then it was very bad English to us, because like, where can you find a taxi? And all we heard was, you wanna We're like, you wanna what? No, a taxi. Where can we find a taxi? We did not understand that, and to us it was funny. It was like, that guy is speaking English, but then that's very terrible English, and it's something we see on the movie, the way they're talking, and something we can laugh about and say, oh, we've been through that. So when you watch the movie, even though they over-exaggerate things for comedy purposes, most of the things they are true. It's just like they're making good fun of it.
So like one of the themes that we see in there are, you know, what's the male and female kind of relationship. And if anybody was here last week for our talk after The Shining, we went into, you know, what's a weak female character, you know, compared to a strong female character. And it's funny, in Coming to America, you know, we see, you know, Eddie Murphy's character, the prince, is basically kind of given this woman who's supposed to be, you know, raised from birth to, you know, serve him and fulfill his desire. And, you know, that's not something that he wants. He wants to, you know, a girl who, you know, is her own person, basically, has her own opinions. And, you know, one thing, you know, in the media right now is, why aren't there more of these, you know, women in roles in movies and whatnot? And why do they portray women, you know, much like in The Shining, how Kubrick portrayed the female heroine, who's this weak, meek woman? You know, here we see, you know, the dichotomy of, you know, the kind of old world, you know, kind of modern look at who women are in film. You know, so you have this, what the male thinks the female is, and this new idea of what, you know, the female can be. You know, so coming, you know, you guys coming here and talking with, you know, women out here and everything like that, do you see a difference between just kind of, I don't know, what is a female here compared to in South Africa? You know, are they more opinionated? Are they more outgoing? You know, what do you guys see as far as the difference between, you know, how females are portrayed in this film compared to kind of real life? Do you see a big difference between what's female in America and what's female in South Africa, and where you guys are from? Kikal is just going to hand the mic.
I think the first thing when we arrived, when we landed at JFK, when we went to the Queens, you know, the first thing that we wanted to see was the women from America, you know. And when we got into that restaurant, I forgot the name of it, so these two ladies came and they were the waitresses there. So we just said, no guys, the ladies from America are so beautiful. Maybe we might as well get one or two. So if you, since we arrived, we've noticed that if you look in Africa, I'm not sure if it's because we are used to them, you know, particularly where we come from. They are so respectful in a way that it's easier to approach a woman, and you know, and they will listen to you, you know, in a way that they will just accept everything that you say, like. In Nongoma particularly, you know, if you are a prince, you know, it's much worse, because they will just they are not the kind of women who will challenge you intellectually in a way that they want to prove that they can, you know, they can be above us as men, you know. But here in America, what I've noticed is that women are just flexible, like they can talk, you know, you can engage with them, and you can think that in South Africa you might think that they love you the way the Americans do here, you know, but they are not the kind of I think it's their culture in America where women, they will just be flexible and you know, they are so relaxed. But for us, we have noticed that it's not easy, you know, to just come to America and, you know, just get a woman, you know, it's not easy for us, you know, but it's easy to talk to them, but, you know, so I think, yeah, but women in America as compared to Africa. They are friendly, but they are difficult when it comes to if you want if you really maybe if you want to get what you are looking for, it's very difficult to get to that point. But they are very friendly and relaxed.
Hide your face.
But but in Africa, it's easy to just communicate with them, and then yeah.
Well,
We'll get to questions there in a little bit.
I found it I find that when you look at the gender, you'll find, I think they're the same, because you'll find different values with the woman. Like in the movie, Lisa's the strong, independent woman who knows what she wants, and then she wants love instead of being possessed. And then you've got her sister who will take anything. And then you've got the princess who was betrothed to Eddie Murphy, who would say, I'll do anything to please you, the one that you'll be able to control. So in South Africa, you also find that you're going to find a woman who's looking for love, who's not looking for anything else, who just wants to be loved. And then you're also going to find a woman who's just going to go after what she wants. And then when we hear, there are some women, when you talk to them, you hear that she's got certain values. She'll be talking about what she did in school, her passions. A lot here you will find that people like art. They have a lot of passion about art, and then they'll have maybe a tattoo or something, has very special meaning. But then there are also those who just, oh, you guys are from there, hey, come over here. Like you can see that, okay, she's taking charge. She's taking exactly what she wants. And then there are others who would do anything that would please you, like, what you guys need, you need this, okay. What do you guys need, you need this, okay. Like, I think the different kinds of people, and in South Africa is also the same. You'll find those who are strong, you'll find those who take charge, you'll find those who relax and do whatever you want them to say. So although it was exaggerated there, but then I think it's here too. I've seen some of the similarities here. So I wouldn't say the women are different so much. I think maybe because we look at it, we're from there and we are here. The only difference would be like the English accent, but then you'll find that they have those kind of values.
I guess I got another thought here. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall leave Zamunda, which is fictional, if no one knows. I don't believe there is a Zamunda. Just like Mayberry. But in the film, they leave Zamunda because they're in search of a woman who's free-thinking, and they want to go to a place where they believe that everything, it's free, it's independent, and they go to America. And when they arrive to America, I believe that they soon realize that there are a set of rules that are also in Zamunda, that they have a set of rules, and when they get to America, they think they're not going to encounter a lot of these, but in that when they arrive, they realize that they're quickly put into a pecking order based on whom they say they are, and there's a set of rules they soon have to abide by. Given the fact of rules, in the film, there's a disconnect, and this is a question about scheduled marriages. In the film, there's a disconnect between Eddie Murphy and his father, and it's really visually apparent when they're at the breakfast table, and he's sitting 100 feet on one end of the chair of the table, and Eddie Murphy's father is on 100 feet of the other side, and they don't yell at each other; they press the intercom. So, given that visual disconnect, Eddie Murphy does not want to marry the woman that it's arranged for him. But yet, also in the film, Lisa doesn't want to get married to the man where Daryl kind of arranges it as well himself. So I guess in Africa with arranged marriages, is there a disconnect sometimes between, as you're saying, your father may select a wife for you and your grandfather may select one, and then you may select one too. So is there a disconnect between family members when that situation does arise? Is there a disconnect with family members?
I think back then there is something like that because on Tuesday last week we were watching the great warrior of Zulu nation, Shaka Zulu. I think Don, you watched the
Yep.
whole series, okay. If you can remember, there was His Majesty King Senzanga Kona. So his sister and his father, or his sister and his father, there was the queen they prepared for him. But on the very same day, he saw someone at the river, someone he loves. So when time goes by, he got to marry the one they chose for him. But at the very same time, he didn't want that. His father just said, "This is final. You are going to marry this woman, and that woman you are going to abandon her." And that woman had a son, which is Shaka Zulu. So there was that kind of conflict because the prince, he was the prince then, Senzanga Kona, so he was like, I still love that woman. But his father, his sister, didn't want her. So that thing happens a lot. But I think now they do understand each other. So there is a little bit of something like that. But maybe these guys can add on to that.
Yeah. So if you guys weren't here on Tuesday night to view 2 episodes of Shaka Zulu, we're doing it again on this Tuesday. We're going to be airing 2 more. But in that film, the King, and spoilers for everybody who wasn't here, but the King tried to basically assassinate this girl who the prince in that movie loved.
Yeah.
So you can see, like, we've had a progression. We've had kings now in movies stop trying to kill the woman that the prince loves, and we see a lot more female intervention here with the queen, and she's like, marry who you want. Like, I don't know. To me, like, those movies are separated probably by like 15 years or so, 10 or 15 years. Shaka Zulu and Coming to America, and I always love the kind of history lesson you get in movies. Just this is how we think of femaleness. This is how we think of maleness. Through a 1970s lens, and this is through a late 80s lens, and you see a lot of progression here from how everybody's treated from those 2 films, Shaka Zulu and Coming to America. Just the way that royalties kind of eased up. Like, do you feel, like, when did arranged marriages kind of start going out of style in where you guys are from in South Africa? Do you guys know the era or whatnot?
I'm not sure of the of the time. Yeah.
Like, do you know anybody who had an arranged marriage?
Yes, I do know a lot, and it still happens now. But they understand. You know what happens now in South Africa, particularly we as the Zulus. There is that connotation which says maybe when a traditional healer, we call them izangoma. You might have a problem. Maybe you don't get a job, you're looking for a job, maybe you always involved in accidents, and then they will just come and tell you that, the problem is this and this and this. Maybe they might end up telling you that you need to go somewhere and meet someone who's gonna be your wife, or you need to dump your wife, or you need to dump someone who you are involved with right now, whom you love, So something like that still happens, but it depends on who you are right now and what do you believe in. So it's not easy to just brainwash people, but the families, they understand that we as the youth of 2017 and people of this generation, they just choose what they want. So there is freedom, but there are still those who still believe that maybe I have to get a second wife due to this and this and this. You know, maybe if your grandfather was not married, you know, at the time, maybe, or there was someone that he promised to marry as his third wife and he didn't do it. So then that is supposed to be done by you, you know. So all those things like that. So they'll just tell you that your grandfather is following you. That's why you have a lot of accidents. That's why you have a lot of bad lucks. He just wants you to do what he wished he could have done, you know, something like that. But it depends now. But most of the Zulus, you know, they love polygamy, and you know, if you go to Nongoma, you'll find a lot, you know. But it's not, for youth of today, it's different. So, but I think the problem right now is that a lot of people, they don't have money. Like, they don't have money to take care of their wives, you know. Mm-hmm. So back then it was easier because if you have a lot of cows, then you are rich, you know.
You don't find people competing like, I'm going to get 5 wives or I'm going to get 6 wives?
It happens to some, but
It's not a competition.
But it's not a competition as such, you know. It's not a competition as such, you know.
But it's some form of status. It's it's a form of status if you have like 6 wives and only have 2 wives.
Social stature too, and
Yeah, although it's not something that's there, it'll be like you've got a car, but I've got a hammer. Yeah.
And our president has about 5 of them, 5 wives, and he can take another one, you know, next day or any time, you know. But it happens, you know. And if you have got a lot of money, you know, right now there is a TV show which is a reality show that plays in South Africa. It talks about polygamy, you know. Mm-hmm. So you find a lot of young women right now, they want to be involved in polygamy. The way the guy portrays polygamy, you know, because some look at it as something that is bad, but now they look at it differently because they can see that people can survive in polygamy, you know. So I think that TV show is good because it shows that polygamy is good and sometimes it's bad, you know. But it shows every aspect of it. So it depends on who you are, how do you look at it, you know.
The other trick in this is that the first wife has to approve the second wife.
And does the second one have to approve the third one?
No, the first will always approve.
Oh, so is the first wife.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't want
I think
to,
the mic went out.
okay, I think it's off. So if the first wife doesn't want the second wife will never be an official wife.
Yeah, it's out of battery. So we're going to take the mic out and see if you guys had any questions, but the mic is dead. So who has a question out there? And you guys can just yell it out. Yes, sir.
Well, polygamy has come up. I'm curious if there is a debate in South Africa over, the morality of.
There is a debate about polygamy, but if you go to the Zulu nation and if you say something bad about it, you know, we as the Zulu nation, because we believe in polygamy, and it's part of our culture, you know. So there are some tribes that are against it. But you can talk wherever you are, maybe where you come from, and talk on behalf of how you grew up in terms of like you do not, because there was no one around your area that was involved in a polygamy or was a polygamist. So maybe you'll say something bad about the Zulus, As our president, if he takes the sixth wife, then, the media will say all what they want about, the man is taking another wife, what. So as the Zulus, as the Zulu nation, we always try to protect our culture, If they think that it's bad, it's not bad for the Zulu nation, But even amongst us, the Zulus, there are those who thinks that it's not right, There are those who just think that it's not the problem because it was something that even our grandfathers and our great-grandparents were part of, But there is a lot of discussions around polygamy, If particularly young people of 2017, when you talk about polygamy, because they are educated, they are independent, they can be, they don't depend on men, So they are the ones who are really against polygamy. But when you talk about polygamy to elders, they don't have a problem with it because a lot of them were part of polygamy.
So can women take multiple husbands then too?
No.
No?
No.
It's not that equal yet.
That was there was a part in a soapy in South Africa, Generation, which is a very famous soapy. So a woman took 2 men, so everyone was blaming it. They didn't like that, so it was about an insult in our culture, because we sometimes see that as an adultery when a woman just is in love with 2 men. So it's like this is not acceptable, but a man can take two wives at a time. But the other thing about the polygamy, which is why people blame it now, it's because of what was shown in this movie. There is someone who want to marry you because of what you have. Mm-hmm. So right now, some women will fall in a polygamy because of they are after the will. And what happens is that when they are under that roof or certain thing, they will try to kill each other, so that the one who will be alive will take everything. So that's the other disadvantage of a polygamy. But back then, those things didn't happen. They were not even on their minds. But now, there are some reasons behind so much hate of polygamy. Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. So we're talking about polygamy, and so basically we're talking about marriage. Does the same thing kind of trickle down into the dating scene? Is it, because obviously you have to meet someone before if we're talking about love relationships, is there a lot of, like, a guy dating, or being in relationships before marriage with, multiple women? Is that a normal thing?
Yes, it happens. Before marriage, a guy can have 10 girlfriends. Okay. So
if he has more than 10, is he out of the game?
No, as many as you want. You can even have 3, 5, but most particularly, the first girlfriend is the one who is going to be your first wife, mostly. But that doesn't happen more often, but mostly it happens.
Oh, it's not like a person would have all the women and then others don't have. It's even though it says there's 50% women, 50% men, there's enough women for every man who wants to get married. They can easily get a woman. And the polygamy issue, the debate comes from the city most of the time, not in rural areas. And people who say they're against polygamy, normally they do not understand it. They've never been in a household that is polygamous. They've never seen people who live that life. All they do is what they read, and they say a person has 5 wives. And immediately they're thinking it's 5 wives sitting in a table, all arguing and things like that. So if people don't know what they're actually talking about. They've never seen it before. It's easy for them to just attack it and attack it and attack it. But then those who live that life, they can easily defend it and just say, I'm happy. And there's nothing you can actually tell them because they are happy. They're genuinely happy, living happy lives. And in terms of dating, when a person is married and then maybe they want to take a second wife, the first wife must approve of it. So it discourages a person going behind the wife's back to have an affair, because if you have an affair with the woman will not like her, so you can't marry her. So then, most of the time, even with age difference, the first wife will be 10, 15, or even 20 years older than the second wife. She will be the one you can take another wife, and so on and so on. So what it does encourage is that it makes people not have an affairs. You can't have affairs easily because it's actually an insult to the family when a person is having an affair outside. So it's better if someone is married and everything is done within the family. So it is possible to date before you get married, but then once you get married, when you're going to get your second wife, your first wife must approve.
So you want a very tolerant first wife?
Like the first wife to the second wife will be more like a mother, yes. Because even with the age difference, they will not be competing for anything. The older woman will be more at home, and the second wife will the one wants to go out. And then when she gets older, she will be like, okay, I'm also sick of this, get another wife.
I have a question that changes the subject towards some of the materialism that's shown in this film, for sure. Like, the whole royal family is about materialism. The dad on the American side is all about materialism. I guess I'm just asking, what is your take on how important is, I know that there's a status, everybody has a status, but like having the right clothes and always being presented the right way. How did the film feel to you guys in regards to like the money that's thrown around and the wealth that's shown by the people in power, I guess?
I think everywhere around the world where there is royalty, because I mean, royalty, royal family is about, they are all rich, and they maybe even monthly or weekly. If you come to see His Majesty the King, you have to bring something, a cow. So, and if you are from America, if you are from Europe, then that means it would be more than that. So I think it's how the royal families are. They are all about they wealthy. They show. I think it's the people who respect their culture that makes sure that royal family looks good in public, so they always fork in a lot of cash to the royal families, and so it happens automatically that when you are from the royal family, then you just become someone who is more into materialistic thing, Something of that.
So what would we have to bring coming from America to the King if we went to go see the King?
I think you guys, because you are from America, you'll have to bring about maybe 3 cows.
Is there a place you can just go pick up cows? It's like, I'm on my way to the palace.
You go to the market and you buy cows and they...
So now, having watched this, are you guys ready to make a coming from America for like Dawn or I to go to your country, right? And see how that roles would reverse?
Yeah, it will be interesting. It will be very interesting.
It depends also what will be done looking for in South Africa. Those guys, they were looking for...
They're looking for love.
Yeah, I'm also going to go there to find a wife, I guess.
I guess I have another question. The way in which the world they live in, like Akeem and all, and Semi live in, and you mentioned that with elephants and zebras running by, they portray that. So I'm thinking of the mise en scène, kind of the nature and the world in which they live in. You may have answered this already, maybe I missed it. Is it true to what they have portrayed in the film, at the start of the film, as they are in Africa? And what are the thoughts, I guess, being being international? You said you came into Queens. Did this have any resemblance of what you actually saw as opposed to what they're portraying? Or I guess this is a huge time gap. This came out in '88, but I guess what in the nature of the world, what is it like in South Africa then, as opposed to on the film?
Like the way they're showing the film, like it's in the middle of a forest, and then there's just the palace there, and then everything is forest and animals. And
beautiful. It's beautiful.
yeah,
that fictional part of Africa is just gorgeous.
yeah. But then when you land in South Africa, you'll find that it's not like that. Something like that would be like a 7-star hotel in Sun City. There's a place called Sun City there. It's something that's almost just like that. It's just a hotel built in a very dense forest. But then when you get there, you're gonna see like a lot of hills, a lot of mountains, a lot of grasslands. And then that's where you're gonna see like different palaces. You can see different palaces, the housing. It's different to what they're showing there. Like when people, like I hear even when they talk to us, the stereotype they have about what South Africa may look like. Mm-hmm. When they get there, they'll be surprised. They're gonna see something as like, hey, this is not very different from Butte. This is not very different from Montana. Because of what they, something like that, like a movie.
Sure.
With us too, when we watch American movies, what we see is like Florida and California. And since we've been here, I haven't seen anything like that. We've seen like a completely new part of America that even when we explain to people at home, they're like, where are you guys? You're not in America. Because what we see, and we're seeing something totally different. We also had a mindset what this place is going to look like, and it's nothing like that.
Okay. And film does that.
Yes.
Film definitely has it can change the way you think or the way you believe things. And I guess a funny side note is my great grandmother used to watch soaps. I think you mentioned the word soap, like a soap opera, and she used to believe in her whole heart that what was happening on television was really happening. And that so-and-so was cheating on so-and-so, and she needed to send money because Billy was going to kill Jane. And my great-grandma really wholeheartedly believed this. And I guess, television and films, they can do that, especially, I guess, even the gap that we have between Africa as well. Did you have a favorite part in this film that you maybe hit home or you thought was the funniest?
I think I got to mention, I think Kakela is wearing Eddie Murphy's jeans from that movie right now. I have not seen those since 1988, man. So that's.
I have a T-shirt that's a bit McDowell's T-shirt, and I totally forgot to wear it tonight. The Big Mix. So again, whoever wants to chime in first, your favorite.
My favorite parts in that movie is when Akeem, instead of showing who he was on that girl, so he was so passionate. So he took his time because he wanted someone to love him as who he is, not of what he have and all the stuff. So every time when something was happening, and that time when that guy was falsely proposed to the girl, was like, oh, now I'm losing, but he was so cool. That was the part of the movie I loved.
Calm and cool.
Yeah,
calm and cool.
Just do it for your time.
I think my favorite part of the movie is when they arrived in America, when they were looking for a place to stay. When they saw that place, the guy, a friend, saw that place is fucked up, you know. but but he was cool with it, you know. So I could see that in the mind of the guy was like, no, Prince, you cannot stay in this place, you know. What would people think, you know? So he just accepted that, no, we can stay here, you know.
We are like everyone.
Away with that, we coming from the royal family, we are treated as we are treated special back at home, you know. So that part of the movie, I remembered when before coming to America, when we were still talking about everything, you know. When I told Mokai that we have to talk to Odaki about everything, you know. And Mokai was like, no, just tell them to relax, you know. They must not be pressured or think that maybe we going to be demanding a lot of things, you know. We're just cool with everything. So that part reminded me of that, you know. We wanted to come here, you know. We didn't just want that special treatment, you know, but right now it's cool. I mean, we're enjoying and it's good, but we didn't have that in mind. That no, we just don't. We won't accept anything. We were just cool with everything. You know?
Your normal African students, right?
It was nice that you took the must walk on flower petal things out because it's hard to get roses here all time of year.
No, that thing doesn't happen.
The rose petal thing is that's fake news.
No, we use brush ourselves. We wipe our backside. No, that's
Well, my favorite part in the movie, although because here in the theater, I can't pause it all the time. So normally when I watch it, when the king comes to America and is looking for them, and then he's gonna find them at the apartment. When he realizes that it's the king, and he screams and he shuts the door back. That's my favorite part in the movie. And then the wedding dance as well.
The
At
wedding
the beginning
dance.
of the movie. Yeah, it's neat on the eye. It's a very nice dance. I like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I didn't realize ever watching the film until now, but the whole wedding is super American as far as I could tell. It's like walking down the aisle and the veil. Is that something that you guys have?
White dresses and veils, part of weddings.
Right.
Sometimes, but then that's why in South Africa you find a wedding is not one day.
Mm-hmm.
It could be 2 or it could be 3. So they would have a traditional wedding at the woman's family's home, and then a traditional wedding at the groom's family home. And then for them, like if maybe they live in the city or they have that Western idea, they would have like a small little reception with the white dress and walking down the aisle. But then to us, that's just luxury.
Mm-hmm.
A wedding is when we have a traditional feast and when they negotiate what we call lobola. You cannot marry without paying cows for the wife. So that's what we recognize as a wedding. Even though we know about Western ideas, an engagement ring, it's not an engagement. An engagement is when your uncles go to the lady's house and they ask for marriage. That's an engagement. So if we're just there together and I propose, it's only a proposal between me and her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it has nothing to with the family won't even care about that.
No cow, no deal.
yeah.
Until my uncles go there, only then can I say I'm engaged to be married.
Uh-huh.
Only after I send my uncles there.
Interesting.
Any other crowd questions?
So you probably, since getting to be, you probably heard the same question, but I'm curious. You brought up sort of expectations. You know, you probably had some expectations of what youth would be like before you came, and then you got to see what it was in person. And so I'm curious what your expectations of youth were before you came, and what your reaction was when you got here.
We thought Butte was like a one-street town. We only saw Granite Street on Google.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we're looking there, it was like, okay, it's just this one street. All the shops are on this one street, and the radio station, and the municipal buildings. And then everything else will be like grasslands. And when you go to a next door person, it will be like very far. We thought it would be like rural, like the houses we have there near the mountain pass when you go to Yellowstone. We passed some farms there. That's what we thought Butte was. We thought it will just be like just one street, and then because it's a mining town, there will be old head frames that have nothing. But now these head frames, they what make the city beautiful. They light up at night, and that's what we thought it would be like, something like a mining ruin town. Yeah, just one street and then some farms. And when we got here, we got a surprise of our lives.
Well, that town does exist. It's out in eastern Montana. It's just one paved street, and then everything else is dirt, and everybody's like a few miles apart from each other.
Yeah.
But Spo, what about you? Did you have any broken expectations or whatnot of America when you first got here?
When I first thought about Butte, I also thought that because they said it's rural, you know. It's one of those rural areas in America. So when you talk about rural areas, I mean, you talk about where we're coming from in Nongoma, you know. So when we arrived here, like, Butte is so different in such a way that you can compare Butte to one of the big cities in South Africa, you know. So what I've noticed is that when we arrived at New York, we saw the buildings, and we could see that there is so many people here. The life is so fast in New York, you know. So when we were moving to Salt Lake and coming to Butte, going to Bozeman as well, we could see that so many places in America are so developed. So I think that it's different in Montana, it's different in Florida, but the place, United States, is developed in general, you know. There is no place where you find that maybe there is a lot of gravel roads, there is no electricity, there is problem with water, you know. So America is so...
Yeah, we complain if the internet's slow. It's like, I can't stream Netflix. Where am I?
Yeah, so...
Kukela, what about you?
I think it's the same with the guys, because when we talk about rural areas where we come from, we're talking about the place where there will be no airport, or there'll be no big shops, or there will be no electricity, water, and all other stuff. So we're amazed when we get here.
What we read about, you know, when you got into Wikipedia or something, they'll say like Butte is little town. Like what we thought about it, like we had this thing, oh, little town, and then we see the population, it says 34,400, and then we see like the population is very small. Like in Nongoma, the population is about 200,000 people there. So then when you think, okay, this is a very small town. And then the other thing was that, you know, we knew there is type of American accents. When we got here, I thought that we're gonna have that difficult accent, like we'll be saying, sorry, would you repeat that? The same thing like that happened in New York, but then we found that people here, they speak an accent that we can understand. It's not a small town at all. It's just, it has this rich history preserved, has some form of values. And even with the radio station, when we got there, we didn't think like there were so many people there. Because we know when you go into the website, you see some of the presenters, and then now we see how many people are there, how big it is. And that small town thing It's just that at the back of my head now. I don't even think about it anymore because whatever I read on Google was a lie.
Yeah, you guys need to update that. It's like New York, LA, San Francisco, Butte.
Yeah.
I thought everything on the internet was true.
No, everything on the internet is a lie. It's just a lie.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody for coming. I think we still have some more beer and everything. Please feel free to take one with you or anything if you want one. And we'll be here Tuesday night to air a couple more episodes of Shaka Zulu. And join us next Sunday. I'm not sure what the film is going to be.
What time on Tuesday?
It's at 6 or 7 on Tuesday.
It's 7.
7.
7.
7 p.m. Tuesday.
Yes.
Thank you.